Hey everyone, welcome back to the bench and to another pendant tutorial from me. And in today's pendant tutorial, we're going to look at gripping a stone with 5 wires. Not 4, not 3 this time, but 5. We're going to really step it up. And also, I've got a lovely Art Deco design for you to show you. Something really nice as well. Something I haven't shown anybody, it's not been in a tutorial. And something I haven't taught. I don't remember teaching this to anybody. So you guys are getting this for the first time. But before we move on, I got a few things to ask from you as well. So if you are really enjoying these free workshops and these tutorials, maybe come on over to Patreon, show me some support there. Or you can buy me a cup of coffee. The links are in the description down below. All your support goes a long way in help building this channel. And also, I got another favour to ask of you as well, especially you guys that are following along regularly. Just need you to help, a little bit of help to improve on the algorithm. If you could share around on Facebook amongst all the tutorial groups. Now, I would like to do it myself. Now, I did go out to do it the other day, but I got a little bit slight imposter syndrome and a little bit worried that I was just going to spam groups. Go in there, throw my name out, throw my tutorial in there and run away, because I'm not really going to be part of those groups, because I'm going to be honest with you, I try and leave social media alone. I try and stay away from it. I find it sucks a lot of my time and energy away, especially when I'm trying to film and design for you guys. If I get on Facebook that's it. I'm down a rabbit hole, and an hour later I'm like, shit, I should be getting on with my work really. So this is the reason why I've not kind of been sharing on Facebook, as in the groups and stuff like that, because I feel a little bit like I'm spamming them. But if you guys out there who are leaving all these wonderful messages, I really appreciate you guys leaving these messages. It means I'm doing something right. If you guys could just share on those groups, or just push someone to the channel, it will just help that algorithm and just pick it up and just let it roll a little bit, because at the moment I've noticed it's suddenly dropped down and my views are going down as well. So I don't know how to improve that by just asking you nicely to please like, subscribe and share, as the old saying goes. Right then, let's get on with some pendant making. So you might find yourself here for the first time. You might be here going, I've not done a Lonely Soldier tutorial, and the algorithm suddenly worked. Everybody's sharing it around and you found yourself here for the first time. Let me please explain to you how I go about especially my pendant tutorials. Now, I'm going to break this down into 3 parts. Now, the reason I break it down is because I record everything, start to finish, absolutely everything I do, every tiny little thing, because I make mistakes along the way, and sometimes it's great to show you the mistakes and how I would get over them as well, because we're not all perfect. You know, you look at other wire wrappers out there, when you're seeing that tutorial or that thing, it could have been the 10th time they filmed that. Now, I'm going to keep everything in, all major mistakes, just to show you how I get over them. If it goes really, really wrong and I have to start from the beginning, I will tell you if that happens. So this is why I break them down into parts, is because this is my workshop. So if you come and spend some time with me, this is exactly what I would do. I'm just filming my workshops and treating you, the viewer, as my student sat in front of me as well. That's why I do the tool talk and everything. I lay it out exactly as I would do in my workshops as well. So I film everything from start to finish. So these are long form tutorials, and for that reason that means I can go into all the tiny details, all the little hints and tricks. And like I say, if I hit a snag or a problem, I'm there to film it for you and show you how to get over it as well, because you're going to hit these snags and problems as well. So I apologize if my videos are really long. I do, yeah, some of you really like that. I know some of you want that short form 30-second video on Reels, because I know you're quite experienced, and because to be honest, that's how I look at a lot of tutorials nowadays. I don't often need the actual information, because I've got that experience that I can look at a reel and go, oh, I can make that quite quickly as well. But I really always like to focus on new beginners or new people coming into it as well. And you guys need to know how to work tools. You need all those little tiny details. So I'm trying to get that as much as possible into my videos. I really do. So I apologize if they're too long for some of you out there. For some of you, lots of detail. It's really great. So like I say, I break them down into parts. Part 1 will always be gripping the stone. Part 2 will always be making the bail, and part 3 will be finishing off. Now, the slight difference between this tutorial this time around is that part 2 and part 3 are actually going to be 2 separate bails and finishes. They're very similar, but they work slightly different from each other. They slightly take a different direction. And I wanted to show you both finishes, because I've got this other idea as well in my head, especially when you look at all my pendant tutorials, you can mix and match between the two. So you can take the finish from pendant number 2 and apply it to pendant number 4. You can take the grip from this pendant and then take the finish from pendant number 2 and put it on top. So that's kind of the idea. Once you get making these, you'll see that it's very interchangeable between all the different designs because they all follow the same process. Just slightly change as you go along, but otherwise generally the engineering stays the same and the path that you follow stays the same as well. So apologies again if I'm repeating myself for a lot of you guys out there as well. I think repetition is the key. That's why I go over it over and over again, especially the figure of 8 weave. I know some of you find it tricky, and the more you do it, the better it gets as well. So apologies, part 2 is going to be all about the figure of 8 weave again. Right then, what are we making today? Let's get the overhead cameras out and let me show you exactly what we're up to. So here you go. This is what we're up to this time round. I thought we'd recreate this design. The only difference on this one is that this is 6 wires coming around the outside of the stone. We're going to use 5 wires coming around the outside of the stone, but we will have exactly the same finish at the top. We're going to still stick with that kind of finish, like a bed of roses. That's the way I've been looking at it. And obviously we're going to carry on with some fancy figure of 8 weaving in the bell as well. Stuff I've already done before. I'm going to repeat the same patterns, and so if you've already done some of my tutorials already, this is going to be very familiar. All of this is going to be very familiar, and you're going to find it a lot easier to do as well. So that's going to be part 2. So in part 1, what we're doing in part 1. Part 1 today is all about gripping the stone. This is what we're going to do in part 1. Part 2, in a couple of weeks' time, will be completely finishing off, and we will do this. And in part 3, I've given you an alternative finish as well, very similar to part 2, but with some slight differences. We're going to bring in some twisted hammer wire. I was thinking of bringing the bell back a little bit as well, making it a little bit less complicated for you, but we're going to go with this less spiral finish at the front there as well. And obviously tight spirals for a change instead of loose spirals. So as you can see, there you go. Those are the 2 finishes, and I always like to give you a bit of a bonus content. So part 3 will be a bonus content, but today we're doing this. So we're going to look at the grip in the stone. So this is a great example of what we're up to. And check this one out. I love this one. Check out the flash on that labradorite. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A little bit out at the top there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm out by about 1 mil. That side. It's this side. But stuff like that, I can compensate when I do the stuff on top, and we can make that disappear. And here you go. This is part 3 ready to go. Just got to be filmed. Nice one. Right then, let's get the tools out and let's see what we're going to need to make this today. As usual, you're going to want your chain nose, flat nose, pair of flush cutters, pair of nylon jaw pliers will come in handy for straightening wire today. You're going to want your tweezers. Again, it's not one of those tools that I always recommend you get out every single time. Tweezers come in handy all the time. Masking tape, going to need that today. A long ruler, preferably 1/2 meter long if you can. Going to need your scissors for cutting the masking tape. Marker pen and a normal pen or a pencil for making some marks on our little blueprint we're about to make. So wire sizes today, just going to be using the 2. I'm actually going over to use sterling silver as well. So going to be using a piece of some 26 gauge 0.4 fine silver. That's for wrapping today. And my main core wire, my main base wire today will be 20 gauge, 0.8 mil. That's it. Right then, let's see what type of stone we're going to need to complete this project. Right, the stone you're going to be looking for is something similar to this. So I'm going to go with a teardrop. Obviously, that's the point of this design. It works well, the teardrop shape. But obviously, we're going to go with the point down. Now, size-wise, I've gone for something a little bit larger here because it's all about, if you look at this, it's all about the balance on top there because you're about to do a load of heavy wire work. And so you want a stone that fits the size of the wire work you're about to do as well. So always think about that whenever you're doing any form of pendant, really, or following my designs especially, that what happens up here depends on how wide and how big this is here. So obviously I've chosen a stone that's pretty well much the same size as the original that I made. So what is the size? So we're looking at here, top to bottom, about 35 mil. Width-wise, 25 mil. And thickness, at its most, 7 mil. So yeah, that's what you're kind of looking for, like I say, because obviously, dropping it here, especially when it comes to the width of the barrel at the top, you need to make sure you've got a relatively wide stone. But I know you lot are experienced out there. You'll be able to take this idea and make it smaller. I know you can. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go with the stone that's pretty much the same as the last one. And again, I'm going to be using a piece of dinosaur bone. I do like that. I've been saving this for quite some time, actually. It's been in the box for a bit. It's one of my last pieces of dinosaur bone. I need to get some more. And also, I thought I'd do a second at the same time. And I think this is moss agate. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure someone in the comments will tell me if I'm a bit wrong, but it's like a moss agate. Anyway, really nice. And it's pretty well much the same thickness, as you can see, and pretty well much dropping it there, pretty well much the same size. Right, let's get the masking tape out and find out the diameter of these stones. Grab your masking tape, trim off reasonable length, about 15 centimeters roughly. Getting your stone and taking one edge of the masking tape, we're going to stick it around the outside of the stone until the masking tape overlaps a few centimeters. Take your time about it, get it right. And you just want to get that edge stuck to the edge of the stone. Often, this is a lot easier when you've got a stone with a bit more of a flat side to it. But don't worry, the more you do this, the easier it becomes. Just keep wrapping until you've got it nice and neat. I'm just going to trim that bit of masking tape off. And take that, I'm going to place that on my desk to one side. We're going to come back to that and we will be reusing that. Just going to smooth that down. See, that's what you're aiming to do. Not particularly too hard. And then, where the masking tape overlaps, grab your scissors, cut a straight line down towards the stone. Might have to come in at a bit of an angle here, just to pinch that last little bit off. Oops, didn't do it. Then gently take that off. Once you're taking your masking tape off, you're going to want to stick it to your bench. Now, just because this is velvet here, I'm going to stick mine to my sketchbook, and visually it's a lot easier for you guys to see while I'm filming. So yeah, get your masking tape out and stick it to your bench. Now, some of you might find yourself here for the first time are asking yourself, well, why am I doing this? So while we're learning out, basically this is going to become a blueprint, and also we now know the circumference of our stone. So grab your ruler and I want you to mark the center. Now, why am I getting you to mark the center of this? So now the reason being I'm getting you to mark the center, like I said, this is going to become a blueprint for where our wraps go on the outside here. So obviously that mark there is that center wrap here. We're now going to want to put a mark in between here for where those wraps go. So just for the moment, I sometimes get the stone here and I just gently roll it down and work out roughly where my wrap's going to be. So don't worry if you don't get it in exact right position, because we have the option of moving these around when we come and grip the stone. So I'm just going to come down from the center mark 1.5 centimeters, 25 mil, not 1.5, 2.5 centimeters. Let me get that right. 25 mil. Like so. Right, I'm going to put that to one side and let's get some wire out and start trimming. I'm going to be using some sterling silver for this. And yeah, so you might want to adjust the measurements slightly. If you can use copper, I recommend adding an extra couple of centimeters. Now, we're going to want 5 pieces of wire cut here, and you're going to want 4 pieces cut at 30 centimeters. Now, I'm going to go to 28 because I'm using sterling, and I'm just going to be saving that extra couple because I know this design. But if you've not made this design before and you feel like you want to go a little bit off piece, I recommend cutting 30 centimeters. And you want 4 of them, and you want 1 piece, just 1 piece, at 40 centimeters. I'll explain why that as we're going along. So again, because I'm doing sterling silver, I'm going to bring this down by a couple more centimeters. So if you're in copper, cut 40 centimeters. If you're in sterling, maybe drop down to 38 centimeters. Now, again, time to get the nylon jaw pliers out. Just taking that minute, just straightening your wire out. Should have really done this on the roll. Grab all your wires, and we want to mark the center of them. So bunch them all up together. Obviously, I had some pre-cut here from earlier. And mark the center of all your wires that you have just cut. Now, remember that spare bit of masking tape you might have had a leftover? Grab some of that. And now you want to cut yourself some thin strips, like so. Just a few mil. Stick them to your desk. You want about 4 or 5 of these. Now, what we're going to use these for, we're going to help hold our wire together before we start wrapping it. Make our life really easy. It's one of my favorite tips. I love masking tape. By grabbing all your wires together. Now you want to bunch up the 4 30 centimeters together. So they are all together, like so. Then taking the one wire that's 40 centimeters, place that to the edge, or what will become the back of your pendant. So make sure you line up all your center marks together, like so. So make life really easy right now. This is where I take a piece of the masking tape. I'm just going to place it on like so. I'm just off the center mark, just the other side of the center mark. I'm going to wrap round. There we go. Bring them in tight together, and even taking my flat nose pliers and just squeezing. All right, and then I can run my fingers down towards the end and place another piece at the end, making sure none of the wires bunch up as you go. If you have to put a few pieces on, put a few pieces on. You might find this a lot easier when using copper. Sterling has a life of its own. It really does. Acts completely different. I imagine it acts a lot like steel wire. Some of you guys out there have been using steel wire, never used it, got no experience in it at all, but I can imagine it's hard to wrangle. So there we go. You can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to run my fingers down the other side. That's right. Again, making sure none of the wires overlap. And this is an opportunity to help straighten them as well. Like I say, put as much masking tape on as you want. It's easy to take off. There we go. Down towards the end. Now, there we go. You can see at the end there, the longer one is to the outside. Now, the reason being we got a longer one to the outside is all to do with making the bail later on. In the second part of the building of the process, on the building of this pendant, we just want a longer piece of wire for part of the design. So there we go. I'm just going to run my fingers down it like so until I'm happy with it. Not bad at all. Going to grab my template and my marker pen, and then I'm going to place this on my blueprint, and obviously going to mark up the center. I'm going to mark roughly those quarter marks too. And I'm going to mark the ends of the blueprint as well. So this is where we're going to now place our wraps. So this is why you do this. Makes your life really easy, and you can see where all your wraps are going to go. So grab your wrapping wire. I'm going to be using a bit of 0.4 for the outside. Now, the reason being is I find with sterling silver 0.3 can be a little bit thin for when doing these outside wraps. And also, you want these, they're going to be these bits here. You want them to be strong. You want a little bit of weight behind them. So I recommend a little bit of 0.4. Doesn't go amiss here, especially when using sterling. Now you can wrap off the roll. Now start with the center mark. And now how many times you wrap around is up to you really. I like to go minimum of 4, maximum of 6. So start with that center. Start wrapping around. Now be careful. Just go around a couple of times and stop. Now the reason I've asked you to stop and just wrap around a couple of times to get those focus is that as you're wrapping around here, you'll notice these inside, they're going to want to bunch up. They're going to want to fold up and do that on you, like my fingers here. Now, my recommendation is you do a couple of wraps and you stop. Get your flat nose pliers in, crimp, and then place your next couple of wraps in, like so. Making sure they're nice and neat. I'm going to go 5 times round. Stop, I'm going to crimp. And then I'm going to trim off. So get my flush cutters here. Now, if you notice when I trim off, I'm going to come in from this angle here. Where's the focus? Sorry. Let me get that focus back in again. There we go. And I'm going to trim off there, leaving quite a little bit of a tail. Not enough so it sticks out at the end there, but it's nearly to the end there. Now, just the reason I do that is that it's less chance of coming undone later on down the line. So if you cut it up too close to this end here, it's easily come undone. So here's another tip for you. How to tighten a wrap up. Get your pliers in, bring it in, pull it in tight. Like so. And again, I'm going to trim again. So I've just come in from the edge. Run my finger. Make sure there's nothing sticking out. Cool. Check the front. Just going to make sure that's nice and neat and tidy. Now I'm going to take my marker pen and I'm going to mark where my trims are. Now I know this is the inside. So this is the bit that sits on the inside of the stone. Because we want all our ends on the inside. We want to get rid of all our wire ends so there's none sticking on the outside. Now by marking it like this reminds you which side you're meant to be trimming. Right then, I'm going to go along and add the rest of the wraps. Once you've got a few wraps in, you have that option now of taking some of your bits of masking tape off and getting that out of the way. So I'm going to remove this piece that's between these two wraps. Once you've done your wraps, get out or place them on your blueprint and just make sure everything is in line and where it should be, because you don't want these sliding out of place. Now, one thing I will suggest is, obviously you can see here, just slightly moving. One thing I will recommend is that these end wraps here, that you are 2 wraps to the outside of your masking tape. The reason being is yes, that masking tape is a good indicator of the circumference of your stone, but you're about to add some wire, so you're about to add some distance. So the wire's going to travel that little bit further. And what I've done over trial and error, over making many pendants, that I find as long as I'm a couple of wraps to the outside of the masking tape on my end ones here, everything will meet up at the neck and should hold in place, he says. Right, so I'm just going to sit here now and just adjust all of these, making sure everything's where I want it to be. Right, ready to grip the stone now. So grab your flat nose pliers. Noticed I have it on the inside here. Take your flat nose pliers, place up just next to your wrap or halfway over your wrap, and then just turn up until you got a point. Just put about a right angle in. That's all for the moment. Like so. See, that's the inside. Remember, there's the inside there with the little mark. And then at the ends here, placing your flat nose again up against the wrap, turn them to the outside, both sides. Like so. The reason you do this, we can now pull it round. It's going to be a lot easier to grip the stone. Grab your stone and get your wire ready. Now, use your fingers or your thumbs or your pliers. It's up to you. I like to use a bit of everything, so I'm going to just anchor the wire with my thumb there, as you can see, and I'm going to bring one side round and bring the other side round as well. Get to that point there, and this is where I like to use my tools. Get my flat nose in and help bring them round. Oh, one of my wraps is coming undone there, I can see. Just going to sort that out. And then hopefully, oh, a little bit tight, a little bit tight. We're going to pick it up. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty pleased with that. Now, take a spare bit of wire. I'm going to use a little bit of copper here so I don't waste any silver. And just what I would call a dummy wrap. It doesn't have to be neat. Just bind the neck together, like so. Just wrap around a few times. Doesn't need to be much. Like I say, use some copper here. Don't waste your sterling. Before we move forward, you need to make sure that our wraps are where we want them to be. So get your stone, pop your stone in, and have a look and decide if you're happy with where they are on the design. I quite like mine where they are. I think I'm going to keep them there. I could come up a little bit higher, but let's look at the original. Actually, the original is a little bit higher. So I'm going to take these bits. I'm just, with my fingers, just going to slide them up each side and make sure they're even as well. Even get my ruler out. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. They look pretty good. They look pretty even. Right then, before we grip the stone, we're going to do the back. So how do we know which is the back? Now, obviously, back at the start, I got you to cut that wire, that one that's longer. Well, that's the back. That's going to do the back of the pendant. Let me just get this as an example here, like so. So we're going to start by doing the back first. So make sure, I'm just going to remind you, make sure you're pulling that wire across, not the one at the front here. This is why this is longer. There's a reason for this being longer. It all comes down to making the bail later on. So that's the back of the pendant. This is the front of the pendant. So using your flat nose, starting here, you're going to turn the wire in, and then the same here. Now, the reason we start below this wrap and we don't turn the wire in at the top here is as you're turning the wire in here, what's going to happen is the wire's going to want to pull down through here. So if you do anything up here, all you're going to do is pull it out of shape. So you start from the bottom, or wherever you're putting the wire in, start from here, and then you work your way up to the top. Otherwise, like I say, you're going to pull things out of shape. Now, use your flat nose, get it right close to next to that wrap, gripping that last wire, making sure that's that last wire, and then you just turn it in, like so, and come right in, get a nice angle on it. See? Like so, and then do the same on the other side. And then I even come down to the base here and just straighten those out a little bit. Maybe even get a bit of a bend, a bit on this end here, just to help
Helps keep the wrap in place as well. There we go. Sorry, I was a little bit out of focus there. So there you go. You can see that's the base. Now I'm going to do the top half. There we go. Like so. I'm just going to pull my dummy wrap up a little bit, like gives a little bit of room, lets the neck open up, and I'm going to pop my stone in. Now, when you pop your stone in, now be careful now that none of your wraps come undone. Of course, a nice tight fit that is. That's a nice one. Now, this is the wrap you got to watch. It's going to want to move. It likes to move about. It likes to change itself. So keep an eye on it. Get it in position. Get your flat nose in there. Make sure it's all good. There we go. That's sitting in quite nice. Right, let's pull the wires over on the front. So we're going to start again, like I said, by this wrap, and one at a time. So get your fingernail in. Just get it in like that, just so you can get it, separate it a little bit. Then flat nose, and put it over. Now we want to come right on in because we've got to make room for the other wires to come up behind it. So again, really put it on in and get a really good tight angle. Like so. Be careful not to pinch the wire. This is the time when pinching the wire will happen. I did on a few of my practice pieces. So again, fingernail down the side. Try not to put any bends in. There we go. In focus. Tight up against the thing. Up against the wrap. The thing. And then we're going to put it on in nice and tight like so. There we go. Now that's good as it is. You can leave that as it is. That's like many of the other ones. But we're going to emphasize and we're going to pull the rest of these wires up. So again, bring the next one in like so. Now be careful. Get your pliers in tight up against that bend. I like to pull it up about there. Now if you look slightly out of line. So what I normally do here is once I've got that second one in, I go back to the first one and I just rejig it. So I just slightly change the corner so the corner's in line with that one. There we go. That's a bit better. Cool. I'm happy with that. Now I could bring the other one across. I'm not sure if I like the idea of just doing the 3 this time and having that, because from the front I think that looks quite cool. So yeah, I'm going to pull 3 across, but there's nothing wrong with you putting the 4th one across, because as you can see here, this one has got 6. We can make that go across. So you can see, you can really go for it. But I say, go, you know, what looks best. And at the moment, for me, I'm really quite liking this. I like the way you can see it. So I'm going to stick with the 3. I'm just going to pull the 3 across. Now I'm going to go to the top ones. Now, here's a great example. You can see it starting to been pulled down here. The neck slightly opened up as well. And that's because you started pulling them down. So now I'm going to go up there and just tighten everything up and then start working on the top halves. And again, it's up to you how many bit you pull across. I'm going to still stick with the same kind of design of this one here. I'm going to pull the 3 on in and do exactly the same thing. go. Pretty pleased with that. It's come out quite nicely. That looks great. Now I did pinch a little bit there. I can feel it on my finger. I'm going to have to get the Dremel out of that later on. So yeah, just be careful when you're doing it that you can be, the tendency to pinch the wire a little bit can be quite easily done, especially when you're adjusting these corners here to fit in with your little bends there. But take your time over it. Don't rush it. And like I said, be careful of this wrap down here. This wrap will want to move about while you're doing it. Right, once you're happy with that, again, get your flat nose pliers, get into your neck. Pull your neck tight like that. And get it to come in, especially if it's pulled apart. Now, grab your wrapping wire, which I'm going to use a bit of 0.4. I'm going to leave a tail of about a couple of inches or so, and I'm going to wrap down towards the pendant 3 times. Now you can wrap down more than 3 if you wish to. I just always do 3. It depends how long the neck you want. It all comes down to neck size, length and stuff like that, how much you wrap down. So I'm going to wrap down 3, and again I'm just going to trim off, leaving myself a couple of inches, like so. Making sure those wraps are nice and tight. I'm going to pull one bit of wire down that side, the other bit down here, and hold it nice and tight between finger and thumb. And I'm going to take off that bit of copper wire that's just binding the neck together. Making sure my wrap's nice and tightly tightened down. I'm just going to slightly open these up. This is one of the reasons why we keep the masking tape on to this point, is it really does help just keep the wire together and make your life really easy. I'm just going to put my finger down there like that. It just helps part them. And then taking my flat nose pliers, your old trusty flat nose pliers, get in there tight, right up next to the wrap, and then turn it down, and we're going to make a T-bar, like so. And do the same again on the other side. Like so. We're now going to finish off and wrap the neck. So, starting with the top one here, I'm going to wrap it around one more time and bring it around to the front. Now, there's a couple of ways of finishing this off. So if you look down here, hopefully you've got a bit of a gap down here. So what you can do is take this, post it down through the gap, and have it come out the front. See? Oh, there we go. Right into focus. Let me just do that. That's one way. If you can't do that, I'm just going to pull this out. Bring it into here and wrap it round underneath like that. Oh, see that? Come around there. But if you've got that little gap in there, which is great because it's a great way of hiding it. There we go. Oh, sorry, back in focus there. Have a word with this new cameraman. Oi, you. Bring it there. Put it through there. Pull tight with your pliers. Now, if you can go around again, go around again. But if you can't, just trim off. Let's have a check, see if I can go around again. Oh, yeah, I can go around again. See? Sorry, bloody. Come on, cameraman. See, I've gone through that, and I've gone round again. Pull tight. And then I'll just put that a little bit tighter. And then get in there with your pliers, your snips, and trim off. Oh, making sure nothing is sticking out, and I can feel something sticking out. Yeah, we're all good then. All good. Now, same again with the other one on the other side. So just bring that in tight, and this time you're going to come up from the bottom and out through the top. See that? Up through the bottom and out through the top. Use your pliers to pull it tight. Maybe go around again. If you can. Perfect. And then trim off. Run your fingers over, checking there's no sharp bits. There we go. We have gripped the stone. There we go, that's better focus. Nice and close up.
There you go, everybody. An Art Deco way of gripping a cabochon. I love that design. I really do. Now, I might have said I might be putting these designs to bed. I won't be putting that grip to bed. I think it looks amazing. In fact, it'll give me some ideas to do some other things as well. And also, I don't know, being a big, massive Star Wars fan, and the fact that Mandalorian Grogu's about to come out this week, it kind of reminds me of the helmet of the Mandalorian. Well, more Boba Fett, to be honest, because I'm a Gen Xer. So yeah, it reminds me of Boba Fett's helmet and the Spartan's helmet as well. So I think I need to explore that a little bit and maybe go down a road there. But we shall see what happens with it. So I'm not going to be putting that grip to bed. But just remind you, everybody, remember this is just part 1. This is all it is. We're just gripping the stone. And in 2 weeks' time, I'll be releasing part 2, where we'll be completely finishing off and we'll create the bail and we will finish off as well. And then a couple of weeks after that, we will have part 3, which will be a completely different finish to part 2, following the same pathways. There's a lot of similarity between the two, but again, it gives you an option to slightly change it and do something different with it as well. Nice one, people. It's been good fun showing you this, and I look forward to seeing you all back at the bench again in 2 weeks' time with the rest of this tutorial. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
As usual, I have massive thanks to everybody over at Patreon who helps out with this channel. But I do have very, very special thanks to Yasmin Khan, Wendy Cheverton, Vivian Hussey, Loretta Morgan, Sandra Lane, Ruby, Roxanne Coyne, Nutty Beeder, Nicola Kim, Naomi Smith, Kyle Fry, Joyce, Jill, Jennifer Smith, Jamie Cresdy, Jennifer Harworth, Jennifer Roosh, Elizabeth Polk, Deborah Ensor, Amanda Ryan, Jenny N, Norm Fox, Janine Piper, Sue Corrie, Kyla, and Charlotte Bauer. All your help goes a very long way in making this channel happen. I thank you very much.